Hey guys, Mitko here from DNModels. Today we are reviewing T-44M from MiniArt, which is the second T-44 released from the Ukrainian company this year. At first look, this is the same tank, however, if you dig a bit deeper, you'll see that the fenders are different, the tires are different, also the fuel tanks are different. And this is a tank closer to the T-54 than to the T-34, which is the base of the T-44. The box is nice, huge and stashed. The kit contains 853 parts, 62 of which are photo etch, 11 are clear, and 780 plastic parts plus decals. Once you open the box, you'll see one huge plastic bag containing all of the parts and the instruction sheet. Inside of the bag, there is a couple of sprues and another bag holding smaller sprues separately. The instruction sheet is made from luxurious paper. It is colorful, very nicely done. And as you can guess, it starts with the description of the kit and then the description of the sprues, which is also colorful and helps you determine it which is which, painting the photo etch in gold, decal in blue, and the rest of the sprues, as usual, transparent. Everything starts with the assembly of the engine, which is highly detailed and it's my favorite part of the kit. There are a lot of sub-assemblies here, but from my experience everything fits perfectly and this is a pleasure to be built and especially pleasure to be weathered. Then we have the suspension, which is active, and even though it seems a bit complicated, it's worth the time and the effort because the results are awesome. There are many sub-assemblies which could have been molded into one piece. However, MiniArt decided to pleasure the modelers who enjoy building a lot of small parts into one big and full of details kit. The tank interior is crowded and you can find every small detail that you can ask for. There is a lot of ammunition shells all around it. Assembly steps also gives you the option to put some parts aside so you can show off what you put inside the kit. As seen in the case of the wheels, some of the parts can be left aside to show off damages or missing elements. We have also some photo etch meshes, which are thin and very flexible. Then the tracks, which are separate links, and this is perfect because no need for aftermarket substitute is needed. There are two options for arranging the track lengths. You will see how many sprues of those we have shortly. Then comes the fenders, the tools, spare tracks, toolboxes, which are made from many small details and patience is required here. However, the result is great because those are the best tools and boxes that I've ever seen. One thing worth noticing is that the fuel lines are present and this is a giant leap ahead compared to other models where you either need to buy them as an aftermarket part or scratch build them yourself. Assembling the gun barrel mechanism, it's also tricky, involving many small parts and some of those aren't supposed to be glued, which guarantees movement. This will be a tough challenge even for most experienced modelers, due to the limited space inside of the turret. Weathering here will be a great challenge as well. The turret sides are also abundant in detail, and not only the outside of the turret is too. Again, here we have many shells. Painting will require time, but the good news is that the shells doesn't require weathering. On the other hand, the racks holding them do. Details are not spared even on the top of the turret. you can find the radio, the ventilation system, the rails, the periscopes, and many more. Assembling the turret will require some patience, and everything should be pre-weathered inside before attaching the final pieces one to another. Overall, the build will be complicated by itself, let alone the painting and weathering of everything which will be stashed inside. The Camo Schemes are not so many compared to the T-44. Here we have green vehicles. First one is with yellow numbers and white hubs of the wheels. Used something between 60s and 70s from the Soviet Army. Then we have another green vehicle with white numbers used in Latvia between 74 and 76 in a training regiment. On the next page we have a tank from 60s and 70s, a bit darker green with white numbers, and then a winter washed one from the 70s from Leningrad district, again training regiment. All the color profiles are made with collaboration with Ammo MiG, and this guarantees proper representation of the tanks. The first sprue we will start with holds the bottom, the sides, and the top of the superstructure. It is pretty big sprue and the details on it are great. Everything looks similar to the T-44, however, I am not sure that they're 100% the same. Whatever the case is, the welding marks are here, the finer details are also here, and this is great considering that this is the bottom of the vehicle. Finer details are molded in a way that bending or damaging is excluded. Then comes the fenders and the engine. As I mentioned before, the fenders are one of the main differences compared to the T-44. They are very nicely detailed, and as you can see, there will be full with smaller details over them once everything is built. The tools are looking awesome, and those, in my opinion, are the best tools that I've ever seen on a scale model kit. The lines are attached to the sprue a bit tricky, but with the new plastic and a bit of attention, everything should be fine. The engine is perfectly molded with all the texture over it, all the small details, and it's a wonderful representation of the real thing. It is not an accident that the MiniArt offers a separate engine kits. Then we have 3 sprues with the floor, some of the sides, more engine parts, and other sub-assemblies. As you can see for yourself, there are many smaller parts, and you gotta be careful to not miss something while building the whole thing, because it will take time and most of your attention. The corrugation of the floor here is perfect, the detail is great, all the small bells and whistles are present. The engine parts also superior to any other kit that I've ever seen. These parts here are closer to resin ones than to plastic pieces. There is some flash here and there, but nothing major, and it's so little that it's barely noticeable. Next we have some parts of the fenders, exhaust, stowage boxes, and some of the interior parts as well. All of those are separated into many sprues, as you can see, and it will take a lot of time to find everything and put it into the right place so the build won't be an easy one. However, it will be very rewarding once finished. All the details on those sprues are perfect. No flash, major seam lines to be cleaned are absent, and engineers decided to mold everything in a way that will be easy and painless job removing them from the sprue. The other small parts are very nice, however some of them are too small to be dealt with. After that we have the sprockets, which are detailed inside and out, small rods, small parts. Everything without flash and executed perfectly. The tools here are also wonderfully done, and as you can see, the idlers are also inside and out detailed. Then we have the fire extinguisher, the hooks, some handles, and the commander's hatch. There are welding lines here, but this is not all, there are sub-assemblies to that. Next we have the wheels and some handles plus the suspension parts. The wheels are textured and all the thread of the tires is there. They are also detailed inside and out. The suspension parts are great and allow you a movable and active suspension. However, I noted that some of the handles on my sprues were broken upon arrival. This happens with the kits of MiniArt, but it's not a big deal. Next we have the tracks and the shells. Many additional sprues as you can see. The tracks are extremely nicely detailed, even the numbers which are molding on the pads are seen, and you gotta combine them into track length, two options, with teeth and without. The shells are way too many. I would suggest to leave some of those aside. As you can see, there are two options, one with belts around them and some without. Here we have another envelope holding ropes and the rods for the suspension. The plastic is soft enough to allow you to modify them and bend them according to your preference. The suspension parts are also like that, which will guarantee you ease of movement. The fuel tanks on the fenders were a problem for many kits of the T-Series before, but MiniArt did their best to represent the most accurate option available. Finally, we have clear parts, decals and photo etch. Clear parts are nice, but they are not so important in that case because on the tanks they are either damaged or covered with mud. The decals look very nice, the transparent film is barely visible. The photo etch is extremely thin, flexible and very professionally done. This is comparable only to Edwards photo etch sheets, which are the best in the world. We have meshes, belts, ammunition holders, parts of the ventilation systems, handles and many more. So, that was that with the T-44M Soviet medium tank from MiniArt. This is the second T-44 that MiniArt releases this year, 2016. The kit is absolutely standalone one without the need of aftermarket parts. This is very challenging kit, but in the end you will get the most rewarding results, having in mind that you have engine, full interior and active suspension. Thank you for watching, subscribe if you liked the video, comment down below and see you in the next one.